everyone, thank you for coming. Welcome to SKBC. Hope you're all very excited. This is my favorite event of the year. Many of the instructors' favorite events of the year. I bet it's your favorite event too.
I love this event.
Yeah, excellent.
It is actually Peter's only event he goes to, so that's why it's
Okay. I'm Peter. First off, I want to thank all of you for coming. Every year, us on FLAC, we are blown away by the response we get every year at SKBC. Every SKBC, we leave energized and ready for the next year. And it all happens because you students, you show up. You show up, you want to learn, you want to push yourselves, you want to get better at swinging sticks at people. Second, I'd like all my instructors to come down here and line up. Now while they're doing this, over the course of this weekend, take the time to thank your instructors. We are not paid. They do not get paid to come here. They cover their own fare. Many of them are flying or driving long distances and putting in a lot of effort to construct and build these classes for you, the students. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, there's a lot of passion that goes into this. We all love doing this. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. Much like you all love fighting. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. There are countless years of information piled up behind me. Take the time to thank them. They've all worked hard to get to this point, and they've all put in a lot of effort, personal time, personal resources to get here. Okay? Thank you! I want to go down the list. Everyone introduce yourselves and say where you're from. Let's just say, I don't even know what most of the things are.
Hi, I'm Gus. I'm from Colorado.
I'm Glenn. I'm from West Texas.
I'm Raph. I'm from Washington State.
I'm Ada. I'm from New Jersey.
Al Aurelius from currently Boston, shortly Iowa.
Colt from New York.
Material, Maryland.
Phoebe, Kentucky.
Ender, Central Texas.
Kai, Maryland.
Bell, Detroit.
Ron, South Carolina.
Paulo, Ohio. Ford, Colorado.
Noodles, originally from Maine, currently in New York.
Spike, Virginia.
Tiberius, Wisconsin.
Aaron from Washington State.
Manimo from Indiana. DeVry, Washington State.
Inox, Virginia.
Unknown, New Mexico.
Ferrex, Missouri. Brock, Virginia.
And I'm Peter, I'm from Iowa. Welcome to the Foundations class. Now my goal for this class, everyone comes from a different path of fighting. They have different influences around them. What I want is all of us to be able to talk in a familiar language. So I'm going to run through the basics. I'm going to run through terms. We will cover basic concepts, but we will also cover basic shots so that we can all speak to each other in a reasonably educated way. Yeah? Okay. So, Tato,
Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tato from YouTube.
I love him. That's funny.
All right. So we will get into breakout groups. When we get into breakout groups, I want everyone to go through and count up. You're going to count 1 through 23, and then we'll start that count over. So remember what number you get. Now, foundations. We're going to build this from the ground up. Much like many years you've seen my videos, there'll be a lot of repeated content. Okay? Now, fighting, everything stems from moving back and forth through space. All right? And we do this by moving our legs, pushing off of the ground, and moving our body through space, right? When you take a step, you are pushing off of the earth, and you're moving your core to another location, right? Like this doesn't move my body, right? But this does. Okay? Right?
Yeah.
Now, your legs are only so long, yeah?
Yeah.
And everyone's a little bit different, and that's okay. Now, when I take a step like we just established, we want to move our core through space. Okay? Now, if my core is here and my legs are super far apart, and I step as far as I can, I've moved myself this much, right? However, if my legs are close together and I take the same step far apart, I move myself this much, right? So the further your legs are apart, the less distance that you can take in a single step, right? As long as both feet are, one foot is remaining on the ground, right?
Yep.
Okay, so as we move through this basic movement concept, think about, okay, if my feet are too far apart, I can't move very far, right? If my feet are too close together, you know, there's other consequences, but you can move further, right? Okay, now I want everyone, put your feet shoulder width apart and spread out a little bit. I know we're on a hill, so do your best, okay? Now, I want everyone to pick up their left foot. Now, do you notice, let's put it down, now pick up your right foot. Now, do you notice how everyone leans so that their mass is over their foot that they're standing on, right? Put your foot down. So, when you take a step, you have to locate your mass over the foot that's still on the ground, and then you move your other leg, right? Okay? Basic? Right. So, what that also tells you, that if your feet are far apart, now so everyone spread your feet far apart. And now lift up your left foot. See how much you have to move your core to create that, to allow yourself to take a step. Right? Okay? So, again, the further our feet out, the longer it's going to take a step. You can do the same thing forwards and backwards, right? If you have your feet spread out horizontally versus laterally, right? Vertically, right? You have to relocate that foot, right? Everyone try it. Right? You move your weight over the foot that's on the ground, and in every instance where you take a step, unless you do like a where you fall back onto that foot, right? But any sustained motion requires you to move your weight. That's how gravity works. Okay? So, now a basic stance. There's a ton of theory out there, and there's no right or wrong way to do this. Shush. There's no right or wrong way to do this. You're gonna move your feet. You're gonna position your feet in the way that works for you in the situation that'll work best for the situation, right? So, as a standard, when you fight, you're gonna want weapon or sword foot forward, right? You're gonna have your forward foot. You're gonna have your heels about shoulder width apart. This is for me. My shoulders are about, or my heels are about shoulder width apart. My back toe, from a 90-degree line off of my back heel, my back toe comes to that line. Okay? As a general rule. Right? Now, you can change how your feet are. You can bring your feet parallel to each other. You can bring them more linear. And now these have different consequences, just like we just looked at when it comes to having to put your weight over your foot. We can do the same thing. So we have our feet. Let's make it extreme, right? So we have our feet parallel to each other. You have to pick up one foot, take a step. Yeah, everyone take a step forward, right? All right, that's relatively easy. Okay? Now spread your feet out. And pick up one foot, take a step forward. Okay? And that's relatively hard. Takes more time. Right? Now, if you bring your feet, linear close together, right? And now pick up a foot and take a step forward. Right? Again, that's relatively easy, right? Take a step back, do the same. And now bring it this way, right? And now try to take a step forward. Now with the forward foot.
Yeah.
Okay? That's relatively tough. Okay? Now let's do the same thing. Now with your feet spread, now try to take a step to your right. To your right. Other right. With your feet linear, right? Right? Okay? Do the same thing, take a step to your left. Okay? Now let's bring our feet wide. And if we take a step forward, take a step back. And then take a step to your left. Take a step to your right. Okay? Now what are we seeing? backwards or side to side. Yeah,
Harder to move forward and backwards than it is side to side.
that's true. But what's specifically with your feet? Is it easier to move forwards and backwards with your feet spread apart, linear, or
Sideways.
horizontal, or
Feet
parallel?
spread side to side is easier.
Correct.
Parallel forward and back.
Correct. Right? You all get that? It is easier to move left and right if your feet are perpendicular to each other. Right? It's easier to move right forwards and backwards if your feet are in line with each other. Okay? So what that tells you is you want some kind of a blend in between for an average, for like a I'm ready for anything sort of stance, right? Now, if you have yourself, of course, there's always a reason to stand in any way. You know, if you're fighting somebody that is like big and forwards and backwards movements, and you need to be able to retreat, and you're like, I need to line my feet up so I can get further away easier, right? Like that's applicable, right? Or if you're like somebody that runs away and you're like, I want to chase them down, then you get ready to run a race. Okay? So again, like I said before, this is how I allocate my feet, as just like an everyday stance. Okay? Now when you go to take a step forward, you're going to step forward with the forward foot. Right? Lift up your forward foot and you move forward. So everyone takes a step forward, forward foot. Alright, back. Alright, you take a step, you're going to lead with the foot that is closer to where you are going, and you're going to bring your other foot with you. So you end in the same place that you started. Right? Okay, so take a step to your right. Good. You lead with your right foot and you bring your left foot with you. Take a step to your left. Left. Right. Forward. Backward. Okay? Alright? Now, there are reasons to take what we call like cross-stepping. Right? So let's examine them. Forwards and backwards. If I take a step forward with my back foot, right? And bring my other foot with me. Right? Just take a step forward like that. Forward. Back. Alright? Specifically, if you notice, if my core is here, and my core is here, and I forward with the forward foot, I'm moved about this far, right? My core. Right? Now if we do the same thing, when I step forward here, I move myself this far. So I move my core, my core in a smaller amount through space, right? However, I've switched my feet. Okay? But there are reasons for it. So that's one thing. Did anyone see anything else?
You switched forward stance from your sword side.
Yeah, you switch which shoulder is forward, right? Right? Which is applicable. Okay? Now sometimes people want to do like gathering steps where they'll be like this, and then they'll kind of go like this, and then they'll really get into it, right? You know, there's reasons for that. Now, stepping side to side, right? I want everyone to do a nice long exaggerated step and then freeze at this point, right? Now, without bringing this leg forward, let's all try to take another step. Let's all try to take a step forward. Right? Let's all try to take a step back. And that's, well, much more difficult, yeah? Okay, so as a general rule, try not to twist your hips, twist your feet. Funny, right? Yeah? Okay? And it goes the same way. Like if you step this way, now, unless you're going to turn and go that way, it's incredibly difficult to go this way, right? Okay? Okay, so again, let's go back to a good fighting stance. Everyone get a fighting stance. Okay? Now take a look at your feet. Think about the things we just talked about. Look at your feet and be like, okay, well, if with my feet lined up the way they are, what am I favoring? Am I completely neutral? Am I right in the middle? Or am I favoring a linear stance versus a wide stance? Take a look at it. Think about your feet. Look at them. Alright? Now think about what you might want to do. Let's all be ready to take a step forward. Fix your feet if you want to move forward. Make it a little easier for yourself. Alright, now take a step forward. Alright, step back. All right, now fix your feet like you want to move side to side. These will be subtle changes, right? All right, now everyone take a step to your right. Take a step to your left. Okay? Does anyone have any questions on this? It's a basic idea, but for whatever reason, a lot of people don't understand. Anyone? Anyone? No? Yeah. All the time. All the time. You can't do it automatically without learning to think about it first. Right? So, first you need to analyze it. You need to make a decision for a purpose, and then you need to execute it, right? Take information in, figure out how you want to use it, and execute something with that information. Right? Basic litany of everyday action. Okay? So in order to do that automatically, you need to do it. You need to make that an automatic thing. Go ahead. You got it.
Sure. So you mentioned like you want a Flatblade, you want probably a full size, you want a sword, you want a sword. Is there any particular thing that makes the diagonal sword?
Yeah, I mean, so if you're going to be making like offline movements, it's going to become a blend of those things, right? Like if I want to take, a step to this diagonal, like I might just bring this foot all the way up, right? Then that'll be much easier than safety back here, right? But taking this way, this is relatively easy. My feet are in this line. The easiest, if I wanted to go that way, would be in line. Because your feet create a line. Whatever line that makes, that's the direction it's going to be easiest. This way it's easiest to move. This way it's easiest to move each. Right? Right? Now the other thing, some of you people that play games that have shield bashing or nudging or things where you can knock people over. Where'd you go, Raph? Come here. Okay. Now, the strength in your feet is going to be in that line. When your feet are lined up, that's where the strength's going to be. Opposite that line, that's where the strength is not. Okay? So when you are working with something where you're getting pushed around, lining your feet up against that incoming contact or you contacting somebody is going to give you the most resistance or the most strength within your core and your body, your legs. Right? Right? Make sense? Questions? And that's very basic for that, what that concept is. It's like full martial arts about it. Correct. Correct. Okay.
So, what about being vertical? Like you're low or you're high?
Yeah, yes.
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
Yes. When it comes to force, pushing, you're always going to want to be lower than the force coming in, or the force. Whoever's lowest in a force competition is going to win. Whoever has the lowest point will have closer to the earth. You're going to be better off, right?
Is rounding your back help, or
No.
Okay.
No, you want to keep your back straight, pretty much even in daily life. Once you have a herniated disc, you understand that. All right. Okay. Now let's talk about our hands, right? Okay. Now with a basic stance, the majority of the time you're going to want single swords. Forward, you're going to want you're hitting things closer to the other people. Okay, so your hand, your sword hand is going to be forward. Single sword is almost universal. That's all saying. However, there are applications. People love to fight running forward, single sword. Do that as you will. But for the purposes of this, you're going to have sword hand, sword go forward. Okay. Now, as a general rule, your hand is going to be the faster, closer they are, the higher your hand needs to be. Okay? If you are further away from somebody, your hand can be less out of the way of this weapon. The whole point of a guard is to have your weapon in between their stuff and you, right? That's the whole point. So you want this to be in the way so that you don't get hit. Right? the more you move that out of the way, the easier it is for somebody to hit you. So the general rule, when you are in danger, you put your weapon in between them and you. And the faster they are, the more important that becomes. Right? So, then that translates to the further away you are, the more you can have your hand out of the way. The closer you are, the more in danger you are, and the more you want your hand in the way. Right? Make sense? Okay. Okay, so with the distance you want your hand out from you, right? If my hand is close into my body, in order to protect this whole side of my body, my hand has to be here. This side, my hand has to be here, right? So I've moved about this far, like right across my chest, right? If I'm further out, my hand, stop this side of my body, my hand is here. Right? Stop this side of my body, my hand is here. So I've moved it, what, a quarter of that distance? Okay? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so as a general rule, move your hand further out decreases the amount of area your hand has to cover. Right? To protect your body. However, the further out your arm is, the more susceptible your arm is to being struck. Right? Make sense? So, as you do that, as you move your hand forwards and backwards through space, you need to be aware of what's coming in and where the danger is to your arm, first and foremost. That's the closest thing to them, right? My hand is this far out and I'm this far away. There's no way he's going to hit my body without taking a step, right? But he can hit my arm. So I need to be aware, right? So, as you build how you want your guard to be, your hand, the distance in which your hand is going to change depending on how far away you are and what the danger level is, right? If your body is in danger, right? Maybe the further out you want your weapon to be, right? Your arm is in danger, like you've got a shield. Further in, maybe you want to bring your arm, right? Right? Okay? Pretty simple? Okay. All right, does anyone have any questions on our basic movements and our basic, body position before we break into more complex things? No? No? Okay. All right, now, when you're fighting, when you have your sword in your hand, as a general rule, now everyone's knees and hips are a little bit different, so if it's different for you, it's different for you. I'm glad for you. But most people, you punch the toe at your opponent, okay? Now what this does is it allows your hip and your knee to be in line with your shoulder, which will then give you the furthest reach that you can have. So if I can barely strike him, that, right, from this distance, and I turn my toe away, right, turn my toe, now I can hit him, right? That's not a huge difference, but that's a difference. I'm not moving my shoulder any closer or further away, right? All this is a change in my toe. Right? The other thing that is important about a toe, you're pushing your sword at me, he has his toe lined up and his arm straight. It's relatively, it's not easy, but it's kind of fast. But easier for him to keep my weight off of him, right? Now if he turns his toe, right, it's much more difficult. So you can also deliver more strength of a shot with your toe pointed towards them. Okay? Any questions on that? Huh? Okay, so let's get into, I'm going to talk a little bit about, I'm going to circle back to start something active. Okay, so we're going to get into our shots here. So remember what number you are. These guys are all counted off numbers. So
Which one of those numbers in?
the most basic of shots, right? When you swing a sword, you're creating force and you're moving it forward through space, right? With your weapon, right? Now, that force is generated not only with your arm, but generated with your shoulder, generated with your core, with your hips, your glutes, your legs. But more importantly, it's because you're pushing off of something hard and incredibly heavy, which is the ground, with the strongest part of your body, which is your legs. All right? The vast majority of power generation in a shot is from pushing off the ground with your legs. I cannot emphasize that enough. So when you throw a basic chop, which is the most basic of actions with a sword, the shot, all you're doing with your elbow, you're hinging it down and forward, right? I'm going to digress. How do you hold a weapon in your hand? We should talk about this. Now, if you look at your hand, everyone hold your hand up and look at it. And if you bend your hand, right, it creates this triangle right here in the palm of your hand. Everyone's hands are a little different, but everyone generally has a triangle unless you accept your thing more black. Right? Right? Now, what I teach, most of you are modern age, maybe not everyone, I'm not. It's a modified saber grip. So when you bend your hand, when you look at the meat of your thumb, you're going to want your weapon to sit right at the edge of that triangle on the inferior line that's going down to the meat of your thumb, right? Like that. Right? Everyone see that? And then you're going to curl your finger, your pointer finger up, and you're going to bring your thumb up to it. So your thumb and your pointer finger are the same height on the hilt of your weapon. Okay? Right. Alright, if your thumb is higher, then that usually means that your sword is closer to the knuckles of that triangle versus the thumb of the triangle. Alright? Alright? See that? Give me questions on this. Ask your instructor when you get with that. Okay? Now, this does a couple things for you. Once you get your fingers here, you're going to curl your other three fingers around and hold that weapon in place. Okay? Now, what this does is this is going to project your sword out into space versus a hammer grip, which is going to bring your sword back into space. All right, if I have a modified saber grip, right? Bringing it back into space. It's also delaying because I'm leading with my hand when I swing this shot. It will delay sword from my hand versus here where my hand is moving and my sword tip is coming at the same time. Right? Make sense? We'll get more into it. But modified saber grip, the other thing that it does is it protects your thumb. So these are important to most of your lives, I would imagine. Right? Everyone likes having a thumb. Your thumb is relatively, of your fingers, it's strong, but compared to the rest of your body, it's relatively weak and vulnerable to injury. A modified saber grip, when you strike, it puts the force into your hand. Like you don't even need your thumb on there. And it won't change that strike. It won't change the force that's delivered. The thumb does minor modifications and targeting. Okay? So that force is in your hand versus in any of your fingers and digits. If you have your thumb up above and you swing, you can feel that force in your thumb every time that you strike something. Right? So you protect your thumb and you make your strike more direct and come quicker. Okay? Make sense? Alright, now a chop. A basic chop. You're hitting with the elbow and you're bringing it forward. But you're also pushing off of the ground to create the force. That's not just my arm. Very exaggerated. I'm moving my weight from my back foot to my forward foot and pushing off as I do it, right? So the force is going to come from the back foot, the forward foot, up into my hips, up into my shoulders, and out my arm, right? It's very exaggerated. Right? Okay? When you're swinging with just your arm, you have to have your arm further back to generate the force for the shot. Which means a lot of times people have their guard out, they'll bring the sword back, and you'll swing like you're putting a nail into a piece of wood. Right? Versus generating the force with your feet, where my hand stays in place in space, and it comes forward and out. Right? My guard stays in the way the whole time. Right? So this basic chop, this is all it is. Right? How far does the tip of my sword travel in comparison to where it is? Not far, maybe 4 inches. Right? Now, when I throw any of these shots, my wrists and hands and tip of my sword stay relatively the same in relation to each other. Right? All my hand and these weaker parts of my body, all they're doing is minor modifications in target. Right? Right? Make sense? Okay, everyone break into your group. 13. Same motion with your arm, however it's perpendicular to the ground. Now, power generation becomes a little bit more interesting. Again, it's not just your arm making this motion, right? You're still transferring weight from your back foot to your forward foot, but there includes a twist as you do it. So as your core moves, the shoulder's moving, which creates the strength of this shot, right? So rather than here, I'm here, right? Now my arm doesn't change in how that comes in, right? Again, the tip of my sword to my hand to my elbow, and the relationship between these things in space isn't changing, right? I'm transferring weight from the back foot to the forward foot, and I'm twisting into my hips, right? Very little shoulder power is required for this. This is not this, okay? Right, this is a torn rotator cuff. This is a good shot, okay? Now again, this allows me to do it with my guard in place as I do it, right? Right? Versus this, I move my guard out of the way, and then I swing. Right? There's no pronation or supination. It's a straight chop. Right? So this is your slash. Okay? Right? Now, you can have a slash going the other direction, right? And you're moving your hips and your feet the same way, but now your hand is up and your elbow is down, right? Right? Same thing. Here, right? The power generation is the same. And it's always back foot to forward foot. Right? Right? Any questions? Great. Take them to your instructors. Alright? Now what that's telling you is that you're using too much elbow and not enough body. Alright? You're using your elbow to generate that force and not your body. Right? These, especially people that don't swing something for a living, these tendons, they get thinner, they get shorter, and if you start swinging a sword on the weekends or every once a month, you are going to get yourself some horrible tendonitis. Now what that is you damage those tendons, they fray a little bit, and then they fray a little bit more, and they fray a little bit more, because you never give it time to heal, right? You never give it time to heal, and then you cause yourself a serious problem. So let your body be the force. Let the little muscles do the little work, the big muscles do the big work, right? Okay? If you are feeling anything in your elbow, make sure you're stretching that out. Right? Before fighting, after fighting, during fighting, don't just think, oh, I'm just going to play through this. I was that guy for a long time. Don't be that guy. Okay? Long.
Hey, Warlords, how many of you have been to PT for muscle or joint issues? Raise your hand.
I'm in it right now. Currently.
Learn our lesson. Please learn our lesson.
That's a discussion on Discord, all right? Let's get back to class. Okay. Now, we've done our chop and we've done our slash. Now, Glenn's favorite, the long slash.
Oh, God.
All right, now, so we have our two basic motions, right? Now we're gonna get into our two wraps, right? we have what's called the flat wrap. Now, flat wrap it's the same motion as our chop in the power generation and in the motion of your arm. However, your hand is starting with your palm vertical, right? And it's going to end with your palm horizontal or parallel with the ground. Your elbow's starting with pointing at the ground. It's going to end pointing out away, right? So the motion of your arm, you're still chopping, you're still transferring from your back foot to your forward foot, right? But in the midst of the shot, you're going to take your arm and you're going to go like this. This is a flat wrap. Now, any wrap, what that does, your chop and your slash, they create a direct line to the target. Okay? They move through spaces faster than anything else, right? Shortest distance, right? Now, when you throw a wrap, you're creating a V. You're circumventing a plane, right? So in this case, this is the plane here, right? I'm circumventing this plane. Now, I create a V with my hand. This is exaggerated, right? We see the V. From the tip of my sword to my shoulder. Okay? The plane in which I'm circumventing has to fit inside this V. Okay? This creates a wrap shot. Right? This is a very shallow V. Right? This is a very deep V. Okay? The deeper the V, the closer your shoulder needs to be to that person, right? Incredibly deep. Hold on, I'll give your question in a second. So, as the plane gets more extreme, the closer my shoulder needs to be to get around that plane, right? The more extreme my V needs to be. Okay? Throwing the shot remains the same. You're bringing your palm flat, your elbow out, and creating the V. This is the flat wrap. This creates the wrap. Right? This motion creates the V. Otherwise, right now there's a V here. Does me no good. There's a plane here. I need to get around that plane. That's the V. Right? Okay? Everyone hold your sword out, straight in front of you. Straight out. Straight out. Put your arm all the way out there, just like we don't want to throw the shot. Get it out there and go like this. That's all it is. Okay? That is a flat wrap. All right? Now, when you throw this shot, just like anything else, you want your elbow bent. You don't want it straight. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to have your arm bent a little bit. Your motion's coming from your back foot to your forward foot, and your elbow turns out with your palm flat, right? Right? That's a flat wrap. Now, same with your chop. When your power generation comes from your feet, you're not pulling back. You're extending that force forward, right? Right? Right?
Right.
Yes, sir. Good.
Yes, Ted.
Okay. Instructors, make sure if anyone is having, feeling like their wrist or their arm is hurting, take a good look at how they're throwing and try to correct it as best you can. Okay? All right. Get back in your groups. One more point I want to make. A lot of, especially out here, there's a lot of flat blades still in play and not as many round blades. Whereas where I'm from, everyone's, well, I guess not, but where a lot of you are from, a lot of it's mostly round, right? When you're fighting with a flat, and I saw some of the instructors explaining it, when you go and you're throwing your chop with your grip, right? You're swinging with the blade of the weapon versus the flat, right? If you don't change how your hand is and you throw this shot, you're gonna flat people. So when I throw this shot, the only thing that happens is I roll my fingers around, so the blade of the weapon. So now it's like I'm playing tennis, right? So the blade of the weapon are swatting a fly. The blade of the weapon comes flat to my arm. So when I throw that shot, I'm striking with the blade. And that goes also for the reverse wrap. So that's really the only change that I do. But that weapon rolls in my fingers like this, like through the shot. So I'll be here, and I'll change it, right? Does that make sense? All right, just you'll roll that around essentially, like you're just rolling it back and forth between your thumb and your forefinger, right? And your thumb comes essentially along the flat of that blade, right? Get that beat, right? Okay, now the reverse. Thank you. Now the reverse, a reverse wrap. It is a flat wrap, whereas our flat wrap came with our, started with our palm perpendicular to the ground and our elbow pointing down, you know, to our elbow pointing out and our palm parallel with the ground. It is the reverse of that. It's the reverse motion of that. So my palm starts flat, my elbow ends starts pointing out, and it ends with my palm perpendicular and my elbow pointing down, right? Flat wrap, reverse wrap. Oh. It's the reverse motion of what we just did. Hence reverse. Okay? Reverse. Now, there's a huge misconception with this shot. Everyone thinks that when they throw this shot, they're creating a V because they're bringing their sword tip up in some way, right? Like they're trying to circumvent this plane by hitting them like this, right? Or they're like, it's ridiculous. All you're doing, you're reversing the shot. We're circumventing the plane of the sword, right? In this case, the what I'm circumventing is his pommel and his hand, right? Right? Starting here, I'm ending here. Okay? Anyone have a shield really handy that I can show this on? Somebody grab a shield. Now, not all of you, just one of you.
Just 10 of you.
Right?
Blue and white quartered right next to you. Just grab any shield. We'll get them back later.
Power generation. Power generation is going to remain the same.
Look, 2 shields.
Power generation is going to remain the same, right? I'm going to transfer weight from my back foot to my forward foot, and I'm going to create the motion, right? So my hand does not have to come back. I don't have to do any sort of like lifting. I don't have to do any of that. So much like with a flat wrap, this is the plane I'm circumventing. So this flat wrap, right? I'm circumventing that plane. The reverse wrap, if I really wanted to hit his arm, like this would be the plane I'm circumventing, right? It's not a good target area. Versus like his tummy, right? Right? So the V, right? This is
Could have said torso.
V is in my hand.
A little rude.
So when I circumvent that plane, I mean that's all that is. Right? Right?
Yes.
Yes, chef.
Okay. Now, a reverse wrap. You're circumventing this plane, you're like going this way. You know, say if we were here. This is the same. This is a reverse wrap. Okay? People call all kinds of stupid shit. This is a reverse wrap. You just happen to have your hand up versus down. Okay? Now, this is the V. Okay? Now everyone's gonna hurt their elbow. They're gonna be like, oh man, that looks really fun. Everyone's gonna hurt their elbow because they're trying to throw it with their elbow, right? The force of the shot with your elbow. All it is a chop where you turn your hand up, right? Like, so all I'm doing is weight from back foot to forward foot and creating a reverse. Now here's the V, right? That's the V. My arm is, my hand, this is my sword, this is my shoulder. Like that, spin. Right? That's the V. Right? Much like this is the V. Right? Push the shield up. Much like this is the V. Right? I don't have to hit him here. Here. It looks great. Yeah, sure. Right? That's the V. So a reverse wrap, in the basics of the shot, all you're doing is transferring weight from your back foot to your forward foot, and you are turning your tip up, your hands coming the opposite direction from your flat wrap, right? Now my hand is not changing in relation to my shoulder, right? All that power is coming from my back foot to my forward foot. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Good.
I do this a lot, but
Power generation, always come back to moving your weight from one foot to the other foot. Okay? Now, for the ease of teaching this, I make it as simple as possible. Now, it is the principle of fighting that many of these warlords here will back. Anytime you are throwing a swing, a shot, you need to be taking a step with that shot. Okay? So, once you learn motion, you learn the force, and then you learn it moving through space. Okay? Too often people learn it and then that's how they fight. Right? It requires a step. And that will help with the idea of moving away from the back foot to the forward foot. Okay? Now with your wraps, there's your flat wrap and your reverse wrap. There's all sorts of other variations on where your shoulder is in relation to your hand, where you're, like how much you're leaning over, how much you're leaning from one side to the other, how much you're leaning forward, how much you're leaning back. That will change targeting. But the mechanic of the shot will be either this to this, or this to this, or this, or this, right? Now, for instance, you know, we used to teach all these other terms like the crossing flat wrap, where you throw across, you know, with your flat wrap, right? All it is a flat wrap, but you're changing the relation between your shoulder and your hand. It's kind of like coming over to it so you can get to it, right? I see a lot of reverse wraps with people being this is their default. This should not be your default. This is targeting something specific. That's your default, right? Now you with the shield, correct?
Oh no.
Correct. Right?
Get him.
Now, just to demonstrate this, pick your guard up. Have your guard ready. Now, just to demonstrate this, if I want to, don't move. If I want to hit him, do I need to lean here? Right? No, I can. That's a hip all day long, unless it's got like. Yeah, good. Right?
It's close though.
I don't have to
Going
lean
war
over.
with money shot though.
That's it. Right? That's all that is. How simple is that? Is that this? Right?
You turn this way.
I'm also not leading with the tip of my sword. Yeah.
Show us this on.
Right? So, like I said, to get this, that's all it is. Right? Right? Yeah, I know. Look, my guard is here. And as somebody over there, you've all moved around so much, you're moving your knees, you're changing your height to also gain access to new locations. You know, he's uphill for me and he's also quite tall. So if I was going to hit him in the shoulder, I would certainly not do it from here. Right? I would do it from here. Right? Right? Thank you. Yeah. There are other variations of wraps. The thumb lead wrap, where you're leading with the tip of your sword. You call it, I guess, you know, just leading with your thumb. And people bring their tip of their sword through space to create that shot. There's still reasons to throw that shot because you can get a deeper V. However, the majority of the time, it's not required. However, swing swords however you want. Okay? Everyone's going to have something that works well for them and not other things. There is no right or wrong. Yeah, hold on. There is no right or wrong, but there is the way, that's the way I do it. But there is a standard way that we can all communicate with each other, right? So, and these are the flat wraps, the reverse wrap, your chop and your slash, these are all things that you need to learn. What do you say, John?
So there is one thing that's wrong. And that's assuming you don't want to hurt yourself, right? There's a lot of temptation to taking your wraps. You throw the wrap, you get to about here, and you decide, I want this to hit real hard, so I'm going to snap it like a whip. So you push back with your back leg, you use your back to pull it back, and so the shot looks like this, right? You get a good snap and you pull back. When you do that, you're loading all of that force through your wrists to your tendons, and you will start getting tendonitis. Resist the urge to try and snap those shots to get more power. You just throw it clean, then come back to guard for your primary. Don't snap it.
Great point.
Amen.
Okay, now, beyond our 4 basic shots, thank you. And if you have questions, like I said, work with your instructors at the time that we have continuing. We also have 2 stabs. Yeah.
I just want to cover one thing off wraps real quick. If it's okay.
Yeah, sure.
So fundamentally, there's one principle that we also want to make sure that we're understanding, is that the benefit of a chop is that you can get a lot of range, right? Whenever we're doing a wrap, we're sacrificing range to get angle, right? So for example, a sky hook, right, is a classic board side shoulder action where now you're sacrificing all your range for angle. I can't throw this shot at a long distance, okay? I also can't really throw a flat wrap towards the shoulder at super far away, right? There's too much distance. I'm not exaggerating enough angle here. So just a principle that I wanted to make sure was covered.
Thank you. If you watch the video, I think I said that earlier. But yes.
Okay, sorry. It's a little hard to hear.
I'm kidding. Go ahead. That's good. That's good information. Okay. Now we've got our two stabs. Much like our chop and our slash, we have a stab that's very straightforward, and then we have a stab that acts as a wrap in its own. Okay. We have our straight stab, right? Where we've got our modified saber grip. When you stab somebody, it's not an arm motion. Any way you slice it, any way you do it, this is like, I'm covering like 3 inches here, right? I'm moving forward a very small amount. And the strength of my arm is not what causes the force of a stab. The force of a stab comes from the weight of your body. You've got your straight stab, which comes straight forward. You tip and your arm are in line, and you come straight forward. Straight, fast, effective. Okay? When you do this stab, what it is a step. Okay? Right? Your hand is going to do minor changes in targeting and minor variations in length of stab, right? Your arm needs to remain bent at least to some degree when you stab. So you have a straight arm, an awful lot of force that's being forced. All that weight, your weight, their weight, beats in the middle within your arm. It's not good for you. So avoid that. Allow yourself to have some give. Okay? Exactly. It's a step. Okay? Right? Right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, we have a hook stab, which is essentially a wrap as a stab. We create a V, as we spoke about, with our hand, and that V allows us to circumvent a plane where we are hooking around something. Right? And again, this is not so much an arm motion, but a body motion, where you're turning in your hips and you're creating the stab. Okay? Right? Okay? Now, go to your instructors and stab each other. Yeah! That's great. You have that were here at the moment we counted. You have a lot of instructors, a lot of resources in front of you to answer those questions for this weekend. I'm also happy to answer questions. Cards is a great opportunity for that. Oh, yeah, we can talk about cards. Okay, one more thing to talk about. We'll do it quick. Come here. Okay, so we have 4 basic guards, okay? Now the whole point of a guard is to keep you safe, right? Stop you from getting hit. Now if you have your weapon, right? You want your weapon in between the danger and you, right? Okay, so other things that you can use your guard for is you can restrict areas right off the bat, right? If you have a guard that's right down the middle of your body and is very, very neutral, right? They can go to one side or the other equally easy, okay? So having your guard, what we call neutral, does not influence where their shot is going to go in any way. If you have a guard that is far to one side or the other, this creates this side being no man's land, right? Like nobody's going to swing there. This arm is a much juicier target, right? So I'm immediately influencing the fight by having my hand from one way or to the other, right? So we deny one side or the other. So our denial guard is a vertical guard where we deny either the inside or the outside. From your weapon towards your body is the inside. From your weapon away from your body is the outside. Inside, outside. Inside, outside. Right? Inside, inside, outside. Outside. Okay? Denial guard is where I'm denying either the outside, so my guard is here, or the inside. My guard is on the inside. Right? Right? A baiting guard, I'm baiting them to come one way or the other, but it's essentially a denial guard that's horizontal. And you're either baiting them to come under by denying the top, or denying the bottom, begging them to come over, right? Okay? Now guard, baiting guard. They're essentially the same thing, just allocated differently, but it's easier to talk about. Okay? Right? Right? Yep. Okay. Now we have a ranging guard and a open guard where you invite people in. You do one invites people to come towards you, and the other one invites them to go away. Okay? So a ranging guard, you have your guard extended as close to them as you possibly can. You project your weapon into their space and you influence them to want to move away. Okay? Right? So if we're standing here, you know, we're at a comfortable distance, I bring my sword tip into your face and you want to move away, right? Except for cock. Right? You project your gear into their space. It's our ranging guard, right? Right? Now, when I have my guard down, I'm inviting people in. This is an open guard, where we are fighting, and I have my guard down, I'm relaxed, they want to come to me. I push them away, I bring them in. Right? 4 of them. We have denying, baiting, ranging, open. Okay? Any questions? Now there's all kinds of, you know, variations of them together. Okay? We're on angles. It's all doing the same thing, but the important thing is you're denying one target area or the other, right? Or you're pushing them away, or you're bringing them in. Right? Okay. Helpful hint: it's not wise to have an open guard when somebody can reach out and hit you. It is wise to have an open guard when you are far enough away that they cannot take a step and hit you. Right? Any questions on guards? Thanks for reminding me. Okay. Use your instructors. Put on sunscreen. Eat food. Drink water. We're going to have a fantastic SKBC. Have fun fighting, fun learning. It's going to be great. Yes, question?
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. Ask your instructors. Use everyone as a resource. Let's have a great time. Yeah. Lunch will be shortly.
Real quick before everyone walks away, reminder from the CRAT team, lunch is going to be at 11:50 tentatively, so probably about noon to 1. Your first class begins at 1:30. We have everyone on swordknife.com. The classes have a number and letter combination that tells you where your class is. The map should also be updated with that online. If not, if you have the Discord, I posted there as well. You can find it, CRAT, if you need help. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.